Howdy, howdy, ho, ho, my good humans. This is Unnecessary Rambling. I am Brandon Sylvia, joined by the homie in the building, Mr. Loon. How you doing?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. Uh, Feels like it'll be a nice, simple week on the news.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
So,
a we got kind of an interesting week where it's just a lot of pretty straightforward, but it's a lot of stories, but they're all pretty straightforward, just kind of quick little opinion here, quick little opinion there. And it honestly might be a pretty short week in general for the show as I've only been playing one game. I've been fucking swamped with work and I haven't really I've kind of been doing a lot of dabbling, like dabble a little bit here and then dabble a little bit there and then I can't quite stay captivated long enough to finish it, but I did finish Gears 3. So we can talk about that. Hope all you people out there are doing well and thank you for tuning in to the discussion this week. Loon, last week we began talking about the news to kick off the show. How do you feel about news discussions going first versus game discussions?
whatever, whichever you want to go first.
I
Don't
feel like
bother
we
me too
can
much.
we can kick the news off first. That'll obviously be the longer part of the show this week, as neither of us have really been playing a ton of video games for once. So we'll really kick off the discussion with the meat and potatoes, which I would have to say the biggest story is one that broke yesterday, and that is that Grand Theft Auto 6 is launching fall 2025. This is coming from a Take-Two financial quarterly earnings call with their stockholders and all that shit. It says our outlook reflects a narrowing of Rockstar Games' previously established window of calendar 2025 to fall of calendar 2025 for Grand Theft Auto 6. We are highly confident that Rockstar Games will deliver an unparalleled entertainment experience, and our expectations for the commercial impact of the title continue to increase. So, Loon, what you thinking? Fall of 2025 for Grand Theft Auto 6.
They've never delayed, have they?
Oh, they delay every single game.
Oh, do they? Okay,
Yeah.
that just shows how much I don't pay all that much attention. I'm just ready when the game drops. Well, if that's the case, then this will probably get delayed.
Yep. This is
Um,
this is a 2026 game. It's confirmed.
yeah, it still feels, I don't know, the feeling in the air is still sounds crazy because what was it, 2013? GTA 5 dropped.
Yep.
So you're talking over a decade now, but it still feels a little bit early with with all the information and stuff like that. Obviously, they put Red Dead 2 out in that time as well. Um, so yeah, 2026 probably the earliest is what it
Yeah.
feels for me.
Yeah, I think that so what I'm thinking, because Grand Theft Auto 5 was delayed a few months. Red Dead 2 was delayed over a year. GTA 4 was almost delayed a year. And Rockstar doesn't put out slop. Like when it comes out, it's going to be a good game. We're not going to have a cyberpunk situation. It's just not going to happen. Rockstar won't allow for that. So if they have to delay it into 2026, they're going to, and they have all free reign to do so. Like they Take Two is never gonna, tighten up the grip and then try to force them.
They
It's
they
not. They
have no
can't.
reason. They have no reason to. The GTA 5 is still an absolute cash cow.
They
They
were
could sit on that till 2030 and still be fine. Like it's ready when it's ready.
they reported that GTA 5 had broke 200 million copies sold, surpassed 200 million copies sold.
It's insane.
Batshit. That's like that doesn't even I can't even process that because a hit game in today's landscape, 15 million copies. God of War Ragnarok, that's a 20 million copy seller. And we look at that as like one of the most critically acclaimed, commercially successful games. This is 10. times that. Bad shit, man.
Rockstar make good stuff, man. What can I say?
Yeah, it's crazy. It is absolutely crazy. So what I'm thinking is if we see a trailer this year, another gameplay trailer, or a gameplay trailer, I should say, and
Mm.
they begin the marketing rollout and really ratchet that up this year, 2025 makes sense. If we don't hear or see anything else from Grand Theft Auto 6 at all this year, hold on. I should say if we see a trailer or the marketing begin this year, 2025 makes sense. If we don't, I think 2026. If they begin the marketing in 2025, I think it'll come out 2026. So I
Um, I think it has to appear at the Game Awards.
no chance.
You don't think?
It's just too big. They don't ever do it. They don't ever go to any showcase. It sucks, but I just I hate it.
I don't know. I think with how much momentum the Game Awards has gotten year on year, it's just free marketing. It seems really stupid to not utilize it with how many people are watching it. But then, yeah, it's Rockstar at the end of the day. Like they don't really even need marketing. Like
No.
it spreads like wildfire through word of mouth.
I think if you look at GTA 6's first trailer versus all of the Game Awards viewership, I think it's maybe like 50 million more viewers for the GTA 6 trailer than all of the Game Awards. I mean, it's fucking crazy, man. It doesn't even really compute in my head how that could be possible. But like, and I love these games. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not shitting on Rockstar. Red Dead 2, I think, is the best game of last generation. But like, there is just some power within that studio that nobody else really captures in this space, in the core like console space. And that's the thing. This is coming to consoles. That's it. It's not coming to PC day and date. And it's
They've done that every time though. It's
yeah.
crazy.
They,
But
they
they
don't
still
even
get
need
away
that.
with it. They still get away with it. Um, no, it is crazy, like you said, like the amount of people, but it just shows there would always be that one game that just sticks with people because you have some people who only play that one game, like the people who only buy Call of Duty each year. This is like diehard, diehard fans. Like they bought GTA 5 in 2013, upgraded with all the versions that come out, and that's essentially the only thing that they play.
Yeah. It's really interesting that you bring up these big games, the Call of Duties, the GTAs, the sports games, because really this week is a huge week for all of those. That's I didn't even think about that until you said it, but like we just got the NCAA 2024 or 2025 trailer. That's going to be probably the second, third, first best-selling game of the year. We got a bunch of Call of Duty news this week. We got Grand Theft Auto 6 news this week. So it's like we got all the behemoths just kind of packed their news into this week. But we'll get to that in a second. Loon, I want to ask you, PS5 Pro will or Xbox upgrade, whatever they're going to call it. Xbox Series X Pro, we'll just say for sake of terminology. If what would Grand Theft Auto 6 have to do on a technical level on the Xbox Series X Pro, PS5 Pro versus the standard version that we have now? What features, what tech, what would have to be accomplished on those pro versions to make you buy in? Because I think this is the game that's going to make people buy a pro console if they do choose to.
Oh God, that's so difficult to like predict because the stuff that they managed to. Because I remember it was because even in the 360 and stuff, you remember the ability. You have obviously had the free characters in GTA 5, and you could switch on the fly. And
Yep.
obviously with the 360, it was a little bit lengthy in the load time, but it was still like absolutely holy shit. Like no other game has done this.
Yep.
You have three protagonists, and you're playing as Franklin. You hold down the button, and then you switch to Trevor. It pops up, and then goes over to wherever he is, and he's just doing his own thing, and it
Yes.
was just crazy. So I guess I'll play it really safe and say that maybe because if it's got multiple locations, maybe you're able to switch like that between locations, that would be incredible.
Yeah. Because I know the big talking point is always going to be 60 frames, right? Like, if this thing can achieve, I don't think GTA 6 on a PS5 regular is going to hit 60. Because even if you look at the trailer, it's at 1080, no 60 frames. Um, I think it might be, 4K, all that shit, but no 60 frames. And I was thinking to myself, would 60 frames alone be enough to make me upgrade to a PS5 Pro? And I don't think so. I mean, obviously we have the advantage. We could just go and take our Series X or PS5 back to GameStop, get, $400 and then only have to pay 150 for the Pro version. Like, yeah, I will definitely think about that. But I think it's going to be a lot about environmental density to me. Like, how many NPCs are on the PS5 version in the street just roaming around versus the PS5 Pro version? Do I have more dynamic interaction with these characters? Like, am I, shuffling through the city streets and like, yeah, I walk into a nightclub and my character's kind of got to like shimmy his way through. Like, is there going to be an actual design differentiator and not just a tech differentiator? Like, is there going to be something where they're like, yeah, we can do this on the PS5 Pro, but I don't think we're going to be able to do this on the PS5 regular. That's kind of the thing to me. Like, is there going to be more traffic? Is there going to be more, wildlife on the PS5 Pro? Those are going to be the things I'm looking out for.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like what was the big selling factor of making people jump between if they had the 360 version to the Xbox One. It was
Load
first
times.
person, right? And load times.
I think the load times was the big thing that at least I remember from that time.
Load times first person mode was only available in next gen. But then they didn't really upgrade all that much in like density. That's the thing, did they?
Yeah, I don't think so.
So, is this is still coming? Yeah, you said to PS5 and Series X, so it's not just the next gen, the upgrades and stuff.
Yeah,
So I don't know. It feels like maybe this is the first game that will actually fully utilize them to like the fullest as well,
right.
because it feels like we're saying what could they do to thing it, but it feels like they're underbaked at the moment. A lot of the games that come out and they don't use everything 100%. It's like they're scared to.
Right. Well, and then you see something like Dragon's Dogma 2, where it's such an interesting game, but it's technically like, you know, that thing is not great on a technical level. Like, those, you go into those cities and you're slugging through mud. Like, the performance drops off a cliff when you interact with, more densely packed environments. So it's just like, oh boy. I mean, I know obviously Rockstar, they're a different beast, but like, the level of density that's going to be taking place in those Miami streets versus Dragon's Dogma. And I know that's not a fair comparison, but it's like, man, is this thing going to be choppy as shit on a PS5 versus a PS5 Pro? Like, there's a lot to factor in, but
I don't think it will be. I think that was more tied down to it being the RE engine and
yeah,
them trying to, you know, test the waters with how far they can push that engine. It's definitely going to feel like for me, the way I look at it is probably going to be the first game that truly feels like, actually next gen because it
right.
feels like nothing has really come out that's been like, man, this really is a jump. And it's becoming harder and harder to achieve that. Like you used to play PS2 games and stuff. The moment you looked at the whole PS3 lineup, you're like, Jesus Christ, this is massive. And then you did it with the PS4, you're like, wow, but we've not seen that at all, really.
It's funny you bring that up because if you think about the most impressive, like technically impressive, fidelity, all that shit, it Forza Horizon, a game that can be played on the Xbox One, Cyberpunk, a game that can be played on the PS4, Horizon Forbidden West, a game that can be played on the PS4. So it's like these cross-gen games are the most impressive games we have so far. That's so fucking crazy. So this technically, I think you're probably right because this is not going to be available on last gen systems. So what the hell? Because Rockstar, well, I guess with GTA 5 initially, it was PS3, 360, um, and then Red Dead 2. Yeah, okay. My whole theory goes out the window. But the Red Dead 2, I would still say is one of the most impressive games from last generation,
Yeah,
you know? So
absolutely.
going to be interesting to see if we hear anything else about Grand Theft Auto 6 before the end of the year. Yeah, GTA 6, Take-Two stating launching fall 2025. Go ahead and prepare yourself for 2026. Now, let's I'll quickly shout out NCAA 2025. I know that's not something that's super appealing to you, but it did just get its first trailer and it made me want to throw on a damn American flag do-rag and run through the streets and it just it was so like I went to go get my smoothie this morning and I I always out myself here, but I guess I'll just out myself. I was watching it as I was driving. No, no, I understand. I understand. I was watching it as I was driving, and dude, I literally got chills going down my body. It has Welcome to the Jungle from Guns N' Roses as the theme song, but
Yep.
it's a mixture of the band playing it, like the college, marching band, whatever, and also Guns N' Roses, the real track. Dude, I wanted to fucking go and track down a bald eagle and fly through the sky with George Washington tattoos on my face. It was so just uh, I was so hyped. I was so hyped. Didn't get really a look at gameplay much. I mean, there was some gameplay at the back end of that trailer, but we don't know like what the features are. I'm sure all of that'll come out later. I'm really curious about the Road to Glory mode or the career mode because they have massively dropped the ball in Madden with these modes. Like the single player story centric modes, they've massively fallen off a cliff over the last few years. So I'm not expecting it to be great in NCAA 2026 or 2025, but just to be able to like throw an option pass again, get tackled with my quarterback, kick it back to the running back, take off for a touchdown. I want to see the mini games, man. I want to see the 40-yard dash, the bench press. I want to see the vertical jump. I want to see the cone drills, the quarterback pocket drills, evading the tennis ball with my quarterback, throwing dots, getting my attributes up. I hope we see some of that in the career mode. But yeah, I was so happy to see it pop up. It made my red, white, and blue heart smile a little bit prouder today.
No, that's great. It's also good that they have a competitor again, more than anything.
Yes.
Like, this is what people need to understand. Like, I get it. Like, you're a fan of like Madden and stuff, but it stagnates, and you see that when there's no competitor, they can get away with just, well, we'll just ease off of having to try as hard because nobody else is applying pressure.
Right. Well, the
So,
problem is it's EA on both. EA
yeah,
is
okay.
doing NCAA and Madden, but it is obviously different teams. And I remember them talking years ago in like the PS2 era about like internal pressure competing with one another. So I do think that there is some like friendly rivalry where it's like, yeah, we're gonna make the better game this year. And then it kind of because when you think about it, it's actually a really good point, Loon. In 2014, when NCAA went away, I think that was the beginning of the worst era ever of Madden from 2015 to now. I think people would say Madden up until probably, I know people love 2012. So I would say at least to 2012 was great. And all of those years, they were kind of internally competing with NCAA. So that is a very valid point, but I'm not going to bore you anymore with American foosball. Talk about something that I know you are definitely invested in. Final Fantasy. It's coming to the Xbox. It's coming to the PC, probably coming to the Switch as well. And got the report pulled up here. It was from a Square Enix investor call, and Wario64 is who quoted the real important detail here. Square Enix will aggressively pursue a multi-platform strategy that includes Nintendo platforms, PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. Loon, take it away, my friend. I know this is all you.
Oh, how patience pays off. Oh, how patience pays off. No, it always baffled me that they went the route that they went because we saw on the 360, you saw Final Fantasy 11, Final Fantasy 13, and the two games after that. And then with the Xbox One, we got Final Fantasy 15, and then we didn't get anything past that really. They kind of like sprinkled in the dregs as well, I guess I'll refer to, which sounds horrible, but we didn't get Final Fantasy 16 or the remakes and stuff. We got Crisis Core and we got Stranger of Paradise. And it just felt really bizarre because it's the thing I've never understood is we're in a time in gaming now where things are so expensive to make. And I get that, accept the money bag from whoever who wants to pay for it, but you're still leaving out entire platforms and stuff. So it's the risk that you run, and Square Enix are seeing that, maybe Sony are paying the money, but that's a lot more money left on the table elsewhere, especially with Square Enix and the way they look at how they budget and profits and stuff like that. So they need to just squeeze every available platform that they can for as much money as they can.
Totally. And I've seen a lot of people being like, all the exclusives are on Nintendo, not PlayStation. It's like, dude, come on. The exclusives that matter are on PlayStation. Like, let's get the elephant. Like, come on. That's the elephant in the room. People are saying, well, there's been 14 exclusives on Nintendo compared to the 9 on PlayStation. Well, it's like, okay, well, of the 9 on PlayStation, I don't know about those numbers specifically, but I'm just saying, you're talking about Final Fantasy 16, remake of 7, rebirth of 7. It's like those are the 3 games that everybody's really talking about with Square Enix. Not to
And they
be,
held 14 down for so long,
yeah,
keeping
at
it off of
14 as well.
Xbox. Like it was red hot to the point where they stopped selling the game. Where have you ever heard that? Ever?
Yeah.
An online game that is so popular that they have to stop selling it because their server infrastructure cannot cope with the amount of players trying to enter. Like that's crazy.
Yeah, it is. And I just think that not having it, if you would have done PS5 exclusive and PC day and date, I don't think we'd be having this conversation. I think having PC out of the equation is so unbelievably boneheaded. Like to just throw away 100 million plus people who could potentially access your game, that is so catastrophically stupid. And you see the success of Helldivers. Like you can still make a PlayStation exclusive game, Xbox exclusive game, but like if you're a third party, you probably want to be on PC as well.
Yeah,
Like with
yeah.
Contraband coming up with Xbox, those style of third party exclusives, you need to be on PC.
No, absolutely. It feels like maybe Sony was whispering in their ear, trying to convince them to hold it off of PC and stuff because they were really not ready to embrace releasing stuff on PC themselves
Yeah,
so long. And now, even Sony is putting more and more titles. Like what something recently just dropped, didn't it? Ghost of
Ghost of
Tsushima, I believe.
Tsushima. Yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, all of their titles are slowly trickling. It's only a matter of time until the whole catalog is on there
yeah.
because it is the way of the future. You can't. There's so much money you're leaving on the table if you're not going to pursue that market. That's crazy.
Yeah, I think having your first party like big heavy hitters like God of War that can get you your money back, Spider-Man, keeping them exclusive for a year or two and then putting them on PC, great
Yeah,
strategy. because you do want people invested in your market. That way you can take a 30% cut of all the digital sales and, even a cut of physical sales as well that are on your platform. But whenever you're excluding 100 million potential buyers, like, is it really that 30%? Does that make up for it? I seriously, seriously doubt it. But there is value in, like, oh shit, I'm gonna go here to make sure I play God of War 3, reboot 3. I'm gonna go here to make sure I play Ghost of Tsushima 2 before it gets spoiled for me. I
Yeah.
do like that approach in terms of value your brand, get people in there, get a profit off of get that 30% cut off of every sale. I think it makes total sense. You have to have exclusives to get people in the door.
Yeah.
But the thing I worry about here, more than anything with Final Fantasy, is when I see 16 running on that PS5, it is a beauty in certain moments. Like the linear, straight to the point moments, the boss fights, it is a spectacle. And talking about games that feel next gen, there's moments in Final Fantasy 16 that just feel so next gen. I so the quote, remember, includes Nintendo and their aggressive multi-platform approach. I really, really worry that we might not get anything that looks like Final Fantasy 16 again because they're having to, account for the lowest common denominator and getting it running on the Switch too.
Was Final Fantasy 16 available on PS4?
No,
No. Okay. Well, that kind of throws that out the window then. Because obviously we talked about, I think the Switch successor is going to be about as powerful as that.
yeah.
Um, uh, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's maybe it would just need a team dedicated to a Switch port, maybe.
Or streaming version or something.
Ooh. I don't think streaming would be where it's at, personally. I think Xbox is the only delusional company that's pushing that at the moment. Um, I think there would just have to be massive compromises,
Yeah, like Hogwarts.
or yeah, yeah, they would just have to be compromised,
Because they're
which
talking
is
about
unfortunate.
the high end of the docked Switch 2 being similar in power to a Series S. So if you're already building a SKU for that, I guess, you can kind of have your cake and eat it too with Nintendo. Have that fucking 100 million, whatever. I imagine the Switch 2 is gonna do similar numbers to the Switch 1.
Do you think they'd have the balls to say we'll release like a Final Fantasy 16, but you can only play it docked? It just doesn't work if you try and run it in handheld. Do you think they'd have the balls to do that?
That's interesting. Damn, that is an
Would
interesting theory.
Nintendo even allow that?
That's what I was thinking. Like, could Nintendo even? That is
Because
really
you think that
interesting,
there's no way that that would happen, but we saw just how much Paul Larian had on Xbox, where they were like,
right?
"Look, it's do or die, guys. Like you either make this decision or it just doesn't release on your platform. Can you afford to not have this on your platform?"
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Certain big developers, publishers can have a pull that others can't. Like, I guarantee you, if Rockstar went to Switch 2 or, went to Nintendo and was like, hey, we're interested in getting this on the Switch 2, but we want this, this, and this compromise, some compromises would be met. So I think that's really an interesting theory. Um, yeah. What do you think in terms of Final Fantasy 17? I'm guessing that's the next, well, probably the finale of part 3 to the remake saga of 7 would be the next thing for Final Fantasy. How the hell do they go about doing this? Do they put an entire collection on Xbox and PC before the release? Or do they do like a trilogy as the third game releases and everything's available through the trilogy? Because I think back to Mass Effect. with Mass Effect 1 and 2, where they were exclusive to the 360 for a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah.
And then they put out the I believe 2 was the first game to come to PS3, and then they put out the trilogy later on PS3. And I'm curious if they're going to take that exact approach.
Um, no, you're talking about if they release it on Xbox, right?
PC and Xbox, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm being 100% honest, because I feel like, not to throw shade at Square Enix, yeah, they want as much money as they can possibly get. So maybe it would get like a trilogy collection much, much later down the line when things have like slowed down considerably. But I think they would probably just individually sell them, to be 100% honest. But
Yeah.
probably full price because they know idiots like me will be like, yeah, finally, worth it.
Yeah. Or do like Elden Ring's doing, where you can buy Elden Ring and the DLC for like $100 or something, or like
Yeah,
89.99 or some shit. Have
yeah,
it
because that's what they
pretty.
did. That's what they did with the Persona remasters and stuff. You could buy them individually, or if you bought them bundled together, there was like a very minor discount, a
Yeah.
technical discount. So it's probably what they would do.
Yeah. So, do you think that PlayStation had any sort of agreement where the full collection is exclusive? The full like remake saga is exclusive? Because that would be
Um,
the only wrench in those plans, as if Sony went ahead and like outlined you
it
can't have any of these games until X date.
it's been they definitely had set in stone like because it leaked on the like the box art of the first remake that it was only playable until I think it was like the 7th of April or May or something of whatever the following year was. And then that just disappeared when the time was up and they no one spoke about it ever again. It was just like, okay, I guess we're not gonna talk about that, guys. Cool. So they definitely had something written and set in stone there. I think it may have just been carried by like mutual respect for each other, if anything, because nothing else surfaced from that after. Like they have really strong relationships. It's like a Xbox Bethesda thing before they were acquired. Like they were very, very strong bonds there.
Yeah.
So I think it was more just, you know, maybe like a worded agreement moving on after that. Because maybe Square Enix was like, we would kind of like to reap in some PC sales, guys. Like, these are doing really well on PlayStation. We know that they will probably sell like hotcakes and stuff, so maybe they didn't pen it. So
Yeah.
I think it would be crazy if that third installment of the remake dropped and it wasn't like everywhere else was getting at least part one and two minimum. If they're holding out the trilogy for like a year after, and then everybody else can have it, that's just insanity to me.
Well, Lone, I'm going to kick this back to you because this is a story that you called. You nailed it. We made our predictions for the Xbox showcase. You said that there were going to be some deep cuts to some of these 360 titles before the store closes down for good. And that indeed has happened. And take it away, Loon. How you take your victory lap? How you feeling about being the champion of predictions already? You got another one that I'll have to give you flowers for in here in a
Uh,
second, but we'll go over this one first.
I mean, three of them technically.
What was
A
the other one?
trilogy. Call of Duty.
Oh yeah, three. Right, 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 right.
I'm the king.
Yeah, dude, you're
Um,
nailing these predictions.
yeah, it was kind of a shot in the dark with the sale thing. It was more the reason I said it was because it's just good PR at the end of the day. It's just an easy win for Xbox to just be like, yeah, the store's closing down in was it July?
Yeah.
Um, just have like I didn't even think they were going to go as hard as they did because what they said was they're going to be rolling out like multiple levels of like sales. So like every few weeks, add more and more. But whatever's in the beginning sales will stay at that price cut the entire time. So they're just basically fire sailing. I don't know if it's going to be
Wow.
the entire marketplace, but it's going to be a massive chunk of it. So they went above my prediction. I didn't think they would go that hard. I thought maybe at best you'd see like the original Call of Duty 360 games get like nice deep price cuts and stuff like that.
Have you
But yeah,
looked over any of the sales to see if there's anything interesting that popped up there that's like, oh wow,
um, I haven't looked personally, but True Achievements did post like a list,
oh
and I
cool.
won't lie, that first wave was kind of weak.
Hit me with a couple of them if there's anything on there because I haven't
Um,
looked at all.
so there was a Destroy All Humans Path of Furon game, 75% off. Far Cry 4, 80% off. Rise of the Tomb Raider, which a lot of people don't know released on the 360, which is kind of crazy.
I didn't know that. I thought it was,
Yeah, a
huh.
lot of people didn't know that got a 360 port. That's 80% off, but even then, that's still 7.99. So
Is
they still
there
want $10 for that damn thing.
is there anything on there that was like 360 exclusive that didn't end up getting, any backwards compatibility support on the
Uh,
One or Series X? Or just anything on there that looks like really weird, like a weird title?
I don't think so. A lot of these did get backwards compatible this first set.
Because that's the thing I'd
So
really be on
unfortunately,
the
no.
Yeah. I'd
At
be
the
on the
moment,
lookout for that if for anybody
yeah.
with a 360 where it's like, yeah, go ahead and grab those things that are probably never going to come to Series X or future consoles while you still can, while it's
The
hopefully
un
discounted.
the unfortunate thing about it is though is a lot of them things that you would hold out hope for were already delisted because of expirations and stuff like that. So it's going to be kind of kind of difficult. Um, the one thing I'll shout out is one of the Persona fighting games didn't get backwards compatible for some reason. I don't know why. Because they had two versions of it, two instances, and one of them got backwards compatible and the other one didn't. I don't understand that at all. So probably scoop that up if that
Definitely.
goes on sale.
And I think at the showcase, we'll probably hear a lot more about that forward compatibility initiative that I'm really, really interested in that Sarah Baum was touting, talking about that all of your future games will carry forward. I want to hear more details on that just in general. I mean, we know obviously that our future games will carry over. That's been the standard. But I think myself, you, most people are more curious if there's any back compat initiative associated or tied to that at all.
Yeah, I think with the closure thing, I think that's kind of the nail in the coffin of having any hopes, really.
Yeah,
I think they would have announced it by now as like a, especially after the fucking whirlwind of the past couple of weeks. It would have been another easy like W if that was what they were planning.
totally. Well, you brought up Tomb Raider a second ago, and it is time to talk about Tomb Raider's live action television show that's coming to Amazon Prime. The the place that Fallout, the television show where it landed and was created, and this is coming from InsiderGaming.com. A new Tomb Raider live action show is coming to Amazon Prime Video. The news comes 15 months after it was reported that Amazon had purchased the rights to the IP for 600 million. The new series will see it's crazy, ain't it?
They just have a fucking limitless pocket. It's because of me. It's because of all the things I buy on Amazon every fucking month. I'm funding this shit.
Well, it's crazy if you think about it, Luna. We'll get into this a little bit more, but think about how funny it is that Square Enix sold Tomb Raider, Crystal Dynamics, Legacy of Kain,
Yeah, I know
Deus
what you're about
Ex,
to get to. Yeah.
Eidos Montreal, all of this shit. Square Enix sold it for 300 million, and then within a couple months, Embracer flips it for one IP and not even to have exclusive ownership or anything, just the rights to the IP for a certain period of time for $600 million. They doubled their money with one flip in a couple months.
It's probably the only positive business they've ever done.
Jesus, but that goes to show, like, I guess you just got to be thanking God that Square Enix didn't grow any bigger than they than they are right now, man. Holy shit. Uh wow. One IP, they got double the money for that one IP. It just but anyways. Uh the new series will see Phoebe Waller-Bridges of Fleabag write and executive produce. Crystal Dynamics and Jenny Robbins will also executive produce the show. Phoebe Waller-Bridges, she also wrote um, the latest Bond movie and Indiana Jones. So she definitely kind of fits in that wheelhouse
All right.
for yeah, I was really surprised to see that. But yeah, she wrote both of those, so she definitely has some expertise in that realm of action. And her quote here is, if I could tell my teenage self, this is Phoebe Waller-Bridges, if I could tell my teenage self this was happening, I think she'd explode. Tomb Raider has been a huge part of my life, and I feel incredibly privileged to bring it to television with such passionate collaborators. Laura means a lot to me, as she does to many, and I can't wait to go on this adventure, bats and all. So, yeah, man. Tomb Raider.
Something would it be something you're excited for with all the Amazon things? Because obviously you weren't too pumped for like the Fallout, but you watched the whole series of that, right?
Exactly. That's kind of where I'm at right now, where it's like, it's kind of like the HBO effect at this point, where it's like, yeah, it seems that y'all just do pretty good shit over there. It seems y'all have like a pretty high quality bar that you're trying to achieve. And of course, some things will miss, some things will hit, but sure, I'll check it out. If that Fallout show is anything to go off of, sure, absolutely, I'll check this out. I like some of the Angelina Jolie Tomb Raider movies, fun, pulpy action movies.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of them, unfortunately.
How you feeling about this though? Any interest in a Lara Croft television show?
Um, I'm not entirely sure because I don't the to my knowledge, because I didn't see the films, but to my knowledge, they kind of tanked after that first one. The first one did like pretty well, and then every other attempt at trying to recapture that fell off more and more. And yeah, I don't know. Maybe Amazon can get it right. It's just gonna be, as you said, she wrote one of the Indiana Jones films, so she can kind of keep it within somewhat of that wheelhouse. I'm sure it will keep most people happy.
Yeah.
So
I I think that like television shows just seem to work better with video games often. Fallout, Last of Us, Cyberpunk, the Arcane, the Castlevania, like they just seem to have pretty good success ratios compared to the movie adaptations. And I think just in large part, it's because these characters have, 20 years of history that you're trying to flesh out and trying to get an understanding
you
of
can't cram that into a 2 hour window of a movie.
exactly. Yeah. And it's the weird thing where Tomb Raider is the one where I'm like, that is kind of the perfect big blockbuster movie. But I associate Tomb Raider and Resident Evil really close to one another in my brain with the movies, where it's like I watched all the Resident Evil movies, obviously. I watched a good bit of the Tomb Raider movies, and they're all like fine. They're all okay. You know what I mean? And I'm just trying to picture in my head, how do you turn that okay movie into a great television show? And I think that's a real task that Phoebe Waller-Bridges and Amazon and Crystal Dynamics and everybody involved, that's a real task. how the hell do we make this interesting? Because it's not like Lara Croft has some fucking great, just super, super interesting backstory that's been fleshed out in a perfectly easily recreatable manner from the video games that you can adapt from. Like, sure, you can look to the reboot. There's some good enough stories in there, but it's not like The Last of Us. You know what I mean? So it's like you can't just directly adapt that. You're gonna have to do something new to some extent, or at least flesh it out more than we've ever seen before.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see which tone they go with as well,
Yes.
because not to keep throwing Rings of Power under the bus, but it fell flat on a lot of its like deliveries that it was trying to go for. Like it kind of reminded me of like the prequel Star Wars movies where it just didn't feel like the characters had the chemistry to kind of bounce off of each other. It felt very stiff. That's kind of what Rings of Power is. Whereas you look at like the Fallout TV show, every single actor in that show loves. Like even if they did like the Walton Goggins guy, he never played any of the game. He just loves the role. He loves his character, and he's having like a blast being a devious little bastard. So it's kind of difficult as to how you would adapt it to like Lara Croft because how much range does that character have? It's either she's getting the shit kicked out of her in the reboot of them trilogy games where it's just constant, just grueling, painful, crawling to the next encounter to get your head kicked in, or you had the original games where she was very, very fully capable and just a complete badass. So, what wheelhouse are they going to be going into?
Well, it's funny to think about it because, like, if you think about Amazon with Fallout and that 65 million viewership, like, those numbers, I think, indicate, at least to some degree, that the comedy and sticky sort of silliness, I think that's appealing to people. And I think we've gotten so much dour, just ultra depressing media over the last few years, over the last decade, where I think it would be great to see a pulpy TV show that's silly, super humorous, uh, a little bit more just happy. Like I think that would be great to have and obviously serious moments. There's great backstory with Laura's dad and her mom, and um, like there's great serious threads you can pull at, but let Laura be a little bit of a badass, a little bit of a shit starter, you know?
They've got to do the butler locked in the freezer as a
Yeah.
gag. They got to do a nod to that. Even if it's like she doesn't actually do it, it's just like a note written on the walls to like stop closing the freezer, Lara, while I'm in there or something. Like they got to do that.
Absolutely. Well, and it's funny too, because as I just finished the trilogy, I think back to some of those like the flashback sequences when she's younger and trying to get more of an understanding of like what her dad actually does and stuff like that. And having those moments fleshed out a little bit more of like the backstory, the Croft backstory, not just Laura, but like what this family, what the motives of the father was, the archaeological sort of discoveries that he was like there's things you can do, maybe have flashback sequences from 40 years ago where the dad is going out on adventures, and like there's some cool shit you could do in a television show that we haven't seen yet for sure.
They did that in the Fallout show pretty well,
Right.
of dipping back and forth and stuff. So they clearly have an understanding of that. Oh, this is going to be different people directing it and stuff, but Amazon's overlooking it. They spent 600 million on it to just get the rights. That's not even budgeting for the movie. That's insane. That's
No, but that
man,
is
but
the
yeah,
rights for
just
the game too, to be fair,
I was it for the games as well.
because they're making it. Amazon's publishing the next, or I guess publishing the next Tomb Raider game. They're funding the next Tomb Raider game, um which I'm so damn excited for that. I guess actually let's go ahead and tie. Did you see that list that Keely put out?
I don't believe so.
Go check that out. I think I have it in the doc thread.
Oh, the Summer Games Fest list.
Yeah. Look at that. I think it's the second logo on there. I'll pull it up real quick.
Amazon Games.
Is that not interesting? Amazon does, to my knowledge, Amazon doesn't have really much else that they're publishing at all. So I think
Who who got Middle Earth Friends?
Embracer.
Did they not? Is that not part of the deal for the Amazon thing either?
I don't think so. I don't think
And
Amazon has any.
that's a big L for them then. What's
I
wrong
I
with them?
I could be wrong. There might have been some Amazon deal struck with Embracer, but I don't think so. If I could be mistaken on that. But I know for a fact that Amazon is making the next Tomb Raider game.
Mm,
Amazon is listed on this
yeah,
event, this image that Keeley put out of the 55 studios and publishers that will be appearing at Summer Games Fest. And I don't think this necessarily means just the showcase. I think because obviously, I mean, 55 studios, showing their game at this showcase. I'm not so sure of that. This could be throughout the entire week that he calls Summer Games Fest. He's kind of claimed an entire week to himself, which, that's a bit egocentric, but
this
okay.
is Jeff Keighley.
Yeah.
It's befitting in his character.
Some interesting ones on there though. Of course, the Amazon one is the big one that is like, oh, we might see fucking Tomb Raider at this event. The biggest budget, craziest Tomb Raider game ever with Amazon Pockets funding it. But do you see Bokeh Game Studio is on there? And that can only mean one thing. That's Splitterhead. Or Splitterhead. Slitterhead. The original Silent Hill creator. His next title. I am very, very, very curious to see this. It's been a long time since we've gotten any sort of look at Slitterhead. And yeah, that seems like an absolute guarantee that it's going to be there. Any,
Yeah,
go ahead.
sorry, Con. I was just agreeing with what you're saying while looking at all the different names.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is there anything on that list that jumps out to you? Because I have a few that like are really, really interesting to me.
Um, Not on the spot, no.
I'll throw out a couple and just kind of let you. I'll
To
bat
try
them
and
back.
yeah, jog on my memory.
So I find the Netflix, the fact that Netflix is going to be there, I find that
Yeah,
very, very interesting. We know Netflix has their publishing outfit that they're building, but remember, Netflix isn't only wanting to make these mobile style games. There was when they hired Joseph Staten a couple years ago to work on a AAA project that they want to release on consoles, not just on Netflix. So, do we see that pop up here? It's probably a little bit too early. It probably will be something that's smaller and available on Netflix because we know they got the rights to was it Valiant Hearts? Is that the Ubisoft
yeah,
game?
yeah.
And they
That's
have the
that's on there.
yeah, they have the Oxenfree team, and they have some smaller studios that are making games specifically for Netflix, but keep your eye on that Netflix. That's a really weird inclusion because they have bigger plans in the works for the game space.
Yeah, well, we'll see how that pans out because we've seen Google try and elbow their way in, and they folded so quick. Like it was comical because you think of that they were probably the only other entity that could probably rival Microsoft with
Yep.
limitless money. Maybe Amazon now kind of fills that like role because they just throw money around left, right, and center. But it's crazy how quickly they folded.
Well, and it's like Google got into the worst business possible, the most unsustainable, the hardware business, where all the money is made is the software. So it's like at least Netflix is going the software approach and they have their hardware is technically already established. The infrastructure is there. You know what I mean? For their little mobile stuff that they're doing with the game division, but for actually core console games, yeah, I throw some money around, man. Definitely throw some money around, and let's try to get some cool shit greenlit. That's like Immortals of Avium and shit like that. It's like I'm so happy to at least. It's a bummer it didn't do well, but I'm so happy to see publishers at least take a chance on titles like that. Now, PlayStation and an Xbox are going to be there. Do you find that odd at all? With both showcases, PlayStation having a show and Xbox, or PlayStation, we assume, having a show, and Xbox definitely having a show. Like, what the hell would Xbox possibly announce there when their show is like, what, 5 days later?
Um, interesting.
This could be a thing where they just have some demos available, like maybe a Towerborn demo available, a flight sim demo available on the floor or something.
Yeah, it would probably be something like that. We've obviously there's been a massive void with E3 leaving the space, and now Jeff Keighley kind of has taken it by the horns and filled that void. So they obviously always made appearances at E3 back when that was, solidified and established as the place to be each year. So maybe they feel that this is the next place and just, show your head because you want to also keep your relationships fairly strong with Jeff Keighley, it feels like at the moment. He's got a lot of pull in the industry. And obviously the biggest gaming event of the year every single year is the Game Awards. It just like I said at the start of the show, it just gets bigger and bigger each year. Like the numbers rise and rise and rise.
Well, it's interesting, Loon, because we have a vacant back half of 2024 for game releases. So it's like, is this going to be a fucking juggernaut? Is Summer Game Fest about to be a juggernaut? It's never been. It's not that at all. It's like updates to smaller games and like here's a big AAA update. Here's a big AAA release date, but it's games you already knew about. But like the fact that we don't know about anything for the back half of 2024, Keeley might have set himself up for just like a slam dunk by proxy. Um, Capcom is going to be there. I would assume this is probably Path of the Goddess. It's probably something that Xbox doesn't want to show again because it was shown last year. And also, I think at the partner preview as well. But we do know Resident Evil is supposed to release in January. So if it's not going to be at the PlayStation showcase, or say PlayStation's going to have a smaller presence this year, or they don't want to do it with Xbox, okay, does Resident Evil pop up here? Does Pragmata pop up here?
The interesting thing, it says round one as well
I saw that.
at
Right.
the top. Like that's a lot of big name. Are you telling me there's a second like wave of people? Because like you said, he's dedicating a week. That in itself seems like more than enough names to spread out over the course of a week.
Right.
Is
Yeah.
is there a second picture that he's just like, yeah, and here's like Rockstar and everybody else, and it's just like, uh, that would be crazy if he pulled that out of the hat and was like, yeah, this is like for the beginning half of the week, and here's the second half of the week.
Because we're still waiting on that. Like you said, there is not an E3 replacement. This is the best thing we got for summer, but there's really not that E3 replacement. Because if you think about it, what this should be the show for all the third parties.
Hmm.
And then PlayStation has their first party show. Xbox has their first party show with sprinkles of second party and third party. But it's mostly associated with that platform for exclusivity and for Game Pass and for these things that are tangible for the ecosystem that the show is, regarding. So this theoretically, Summer Game Fest should be the biggest show of the summer every year. It should be the E3, the big E3 show, like just the big third party show. So maybe this is the year where it really happens. I mean, I doubt it, but um,
Well, Square isn't even on that list. That's crazy.
right.
Like, especially with them coming out and saying they want to be aggressive and stuff. Well, what? better way to be aggressive than utilizing, like you said, one of the biggest showcases over the summer period.
Well, and they have Visions of Mana right around the corner. So we know that
Yeah.
they're going to be somewhere. Um NC Soft is one I find interesting because that's that Project M game that looks fucking incredible. If they can ever get it out the door, I'm beginning to get more and more doubtful. The Detroit Become Human kind of uh quantum break. I don't know if that's a good comparison, but somewhere in that vein.
Mm.
S Sega probably I would assume one of those remakes, Jet Set or fucking whatever, Altered Beast, one of those remakes I would assume, or maybe just more metaphor from Sega. Now, here are the two interesting ones that we'll close out with. 2K is set to reveal one of its biggest franchises at Summer Games Fest. They tweeted out, Summer Games Fest directly tweeted out, 2K plans to reveal the next iteration in one of 2K's biggest and most beloved franchises at Summer Game Fest on Friday, June 7th. Loon, what is this going to be?
Mafia.
It is, ain't it?
Yeah.
Bro.
All fingers point to it because they didn't say it's the biggest of like the 2K stuff. They said one of the biggest of their franchises and stuff. And it is. It's one of the biggest, IPs that they've got. It's a very successful IP. So like perfect time. Perfect time.
Dude, this will make me lose my shit because if it pops up here, in my opinion, I feel like that means it's an early 2025 game. Because if it was going to be later than that, it would probably show up at the Game Awards. Because wherever this goes, it's going to be one of, if not the biggest trailers, either the
Yeah.
Game Awards or Summer Game Fest. So you would think, okay, Summer Game Fest does like half the numbers of the Game Awards. We'll just hold back for the Game Awards if we think our game's going to release late 2025. But if it's early 2025, you need the marketing to ramp up now. Dude, please let this thing be early 2025 before Grand Theft Auto. Please, God. And it's
Yeah, it
the
would get
same,
eaten alive if it doesn't do that.
right? But here's the thing, Loon. Take Two owns 2K. Take Two owns Rockstar. So like they know what's going on here. So I would assume that the plans are Mafia comes out before GTA 6.
You would hope that, but we've seen this with like EA where they like to cannibalize their products and release Titanfall 2 and fucking Battlefield within the same like week window. And it's just like, come on, guys.
I'm
What
trying
is
to think,
wrong with you?
have they ever done that with Mafia and GTA? Mafia 2 was 2010. That would have been 2 years after GTA 4. Mafia 3 was
26,
2017,
2016.
2016.
Yeah.
So that would have been a couple years after GTA 5. So they've usually spaced these out a good bit. So Mafia 4, 2025, GTA 6, 2026. Kinda like it, Luna. Kinda like it.
I'm there for it.
Now, any chance it's BioShock or Borderlands?
So I saw a few people whispering, obviously with the Borderlands movie upcoming, maybe it'll be Borderlands, but I don't know, it just doesn't feel like a Borderlands game. But I could be wrong, could have misjudged, the feeling and stuff, but it feels like it's more in the line of Mafia. Like you said, 2016, the last Mafia game come out.
I'm going to tell you one thing I don't like about the wording of this tweet. 2K plans to
Uh-oh.
reveal 2K plans to reveal the next iteration iteration in one of 2K's biggest and most beloved franchises. Now, that's common terminology that we all throw around at times, but like I really wish it just said 2K plans to reveal the next new game in one of 2K's biggest and most beloved franchises. I know that's being so pedantic and like that wording probably doesn't matter at all, but when I hear iteration, I think of annualized games, games that constantly iterate off of the year before. And then you start thinking about NBA 2K, and then you start, and it's
There's
like,
no way they
it
dedicated
can't
a
be.
tweet to that. There's
It
no
can't be.
way. That would be so fucking stupid. They'd get eaten alive for that.
Yeah.
if they were like, yeah, the new iteration of the beloved franchise, 2K NBA, and it's just like, no, stop.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think
Uh,
it's Mafia. I think it's Mafia. Fingers crossed, Mafia. Oh, let me ask you this. That's actually more fun. What do you want most? Mafia, Borderlands, or BioShock revealed? If you could pick one,
oh,
Magic Wand,
Mafia without, I don't even need to second guess that.
my guy. We're on the
I had
same
I
page.
probably had a bad take, so I just recorded today one of the collection videos, and I said in the video like I'd be happy if Borderlands just they didn't make any more Borderlands games. In all honesty, because I was going over it and I was like, yeah, like they're okay, but like I'd be happy if the series just ended. It wouldn't bother me all that much.
I've never played one. I'm gonna jump into Borderlands 3, just the latest one, check it out for a little bit, see.
I mean, it's my favorite of the tr like the trilogy of games,
It's funny,
but
I've heard both. I've heard people say it's their favorite, and I've heard people say it's their least favorites. It's like no in the middle.
it the gunplay is incredible. The story and characters are absolute arse. But that's how I've always. The thing is that people came. It seems like it feels like the same thing with me having that opinion on like Bethesda games and stuff, of where I feel like they've always been that level, but then people put them on them pedestals, and then are finally being like, "Wow, these are kind of lackluster." And it's like, you've not
Right.
changed anything, guys. Like, what do you mean?
I'm right there with you with Bethesda. I fail to see really any of the appeal. And not any of, a lot of the appeal. Um WB, I I, I got to shout out Panda Grog, a commenter, nailed this one. I think absolutely nailed this one. In the comments, he mentioned Quidditch, or they mentioned Quidditch. And I think that's a fucking great guess. Like a DLC to Hogwarts, or just the new Quidditch game. I think they have like a new standalone game that they're developing that's
Yeah.
just Quidditch. That's a really good prediction. I feel like that's probably what WB has. I hope it's not like a multiverses, update. I hope it's not the Batman VR meta game. I hope it's that would be really cool to see that pop up. I think that would get people hyped.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be a DLC because I think they actually came out and said that um they didn't plan on ever like adding Quidditch to the game in like a fully fledged form. Like it would be way too many like moving parts to get that working.
Makes sense.
So they did announce. I think they said that there was a like you said Quidditch game in the works. We've heard nothing else about it since. So maybe Warner Brothers has like held them under a fire and been like, live service elements, guys, come on, make give
Yeah.
people different broomsticks, different trails, different hats. It's like, oh God.
Lone, I gonna go ahead and kick it to another victory lap that you can take here. Call of Duty is coming to Game Pass. And this is I believe the Washington Street Journal reported on this first. I got it. I saw it from Mario 64. Yeah, it was uh yeah, Microsoft plans a major shakeup of its video game sales strategy by releasing the coming installment of Call of Duty to its subscription service instead of the long-time lucrative approach of selling it a la carte. And that was from Washington Street Journal. Saloon, you called this one on the money. You were on a hot streak, my friend, a hot streak of epic proportions. How are you feeling about Call of Duty coming to the Game Pass day one?
I mean, I felt like it was gonna happen, but it's also quite simply stupid. Just plain and simple. Like I get that they're trying to deliver on their quote unquote promise of installing every single game into Game Pass and stuff like that moving forward. And don't get me wrong, they're still going to make a ton of money. So the only way I see this balancing out, because I think many people floated this idea, and I think I don't know if it was you as well, in one of the comments, like adding a different tier. the Game
Yes.
Pass.
But
I don't think they'll go that hard. I think it's just going to be like the biggest price bump we've seen so far. And I don't think it's going to be like a crazy like $10 bump up and like outrage. Like I think it's gone up by like $1 each time. Maybe they'll be a bit cheeky and be like, yeah, it's going to go up by $2 for putting COD in day one.
really what my um not theory, because I don't think this is gonna happen. What's the word I'm looking for? I guess my plan, which sounds fucking ridiculous, and nobody should ever listen to me, but like just say if somehow I was, the executive over
Your
there,
vision.
right, my vision. Well, not my vision as a player though, as an exec.
Mm.
You get what I'm saying? Like if I had that role, I would try to figure out some way to get Call of Duty out of PC Game Pass and just have it for the console version.
Oh God.
Like let the PC players spend the 70 and let our 20 million console players let them, the 100 million PC players pay 70. 20 million console players, there you go. You get it for $15 a month. And then we don't even have to jack up the prices because the PC players are paying for the damn paying for the disparity.
Yeah, I don't think that'll
No,
happen.
it won't. It would be the biggest black eye of all
It would,
time.
yeah. I think that would probably be. They're already on very thin ice. I think that would be the ice cracking, them submerging, and then Sony boarding up the hole that they fell through from the ice.
Yeah.
So,
It just
yeah.
it worries me, man. ESPN Plus lost like 60 something million dollars last month. Disney Plus has lost like over somewhere in the billions since it launched. Obviously we know about Netflix's struggles, we know about Hulu's struggles. We all these subscription services are struggling mightily. Netflix reported recently that they're not gonna do subscriber updates to their investors anymore. That they're like, no, you just look at the numbers go up and down. Don't worry about the subscriber updates. It's like, well, that's fucking telling. And so to me, it's like if this is struggling to work in the film and television space, golly, man, a passive medium that's so much less time required to invest into film and television compared to video games. It's like, how the fuck is this subscription service thing going to work in gaming on an economical level? I love it as a consumer, but the economics of it just do not make sense to me. If we're at like 30 million subscribers right now, you're going to need this Call of Duty game to bump you 20 million, and it's not going to do it. It's not going to get close.
Yeah, it feels like the longest game that they could be possibly playing. It feels like because you've seen like tons of companies that are like really, really successful where they made like record loss year on year on year on year. But as long as they're earning at least some clawback, the banks bail them out and stuff like that, and you can keep the lights on, as it were. It's just, it's going to sound crazy that these subscription models are just too cheap.
Yeah.
They are just too. It still baffles me because I have to check every single month to make sure that I'm like calculating it right. Dude, Amazon Prime over here is 7.99 a month.
It's insane.
7.99 a month for me to watch anything that has the Prime logo inside their Prime Video thing, which I don't even really use, but you're also bolting on top of that free shipping for anything.
That's your fucking $4 right there.
I absolutely abuse that. Like the amount of money I've saved on shit, and it's just crazy. And it baffles me. Like, how are you making money from this?
Yeah.
Like, I
Well,
get it. Like the products that I'm buying on top of that, you're taking percentage cuts each time, but it 7.99 is criminal.
but you're right. It's like, how are you making profit on it? And the fact is, Microsoft, Amazon, Disney, a lot of these entities are so profitable elsewhere that they can take losses in certain divisions.
Mm.
But when you spend $70 billion on Activision, you start getting the Microsoft execs going, Huh. We
So
need to figure something out.
how are you making that back in 3 years' time?
And so that's the thing I want to hit you with, Loon. Okay, this is supposedly releasing October 26th, this Call of Duty game.
Okay.
If by November 26th, or we'll just even say the end of 2024 in general, if Game Pass hasn't grown, because all they really give us is percentage growth, which is so fucking annoying. But let's say it's only grown 10%. Is the next Call of Duty still coming to Game Pass? Like what's the plan? Is kind of my whole theory or my whole thought.
With decisions like this, I don't think be you can't base it off of such short term like responsiveness, as it were. Because you can have some people that wait to get in. So there'd probably be like my guess would be a minimum of 2 years of trying this out, mayy 3,
But
of
that's the
giving it a
next
go.
two games as
Yep,
well because they're
yep. No one.
annualized.
Yep. No,
So
I
it's not
understand it.
it would have to be like a shorter window, a 6 month window, I would assume, at max, because you're having to recoup the cost of development and recoup the cost of the sales loss from the next game if you just want to have this prolonged window. Like this, I feel like this needs to be immediate huge growth for Microsoft to kind of lay off. But I could be wrong.
I don't know. I think they'll give it at least 2 to 3 years. They've already shown again. I guess I'll take a little bit of a win with it as well. They've gotten even more greedy with the bundles and stuff. I think I mentioned it briefly. The fucking King Kong glove things. You're telling me you need to like Assassin's Creed is getting flamed for its gold edition or whatever, but you guys barely make us think about having to drop $100 on a fucking pair of digital gloves in Call of Duty because we're all just mindless drones. Like it's baffling. So
Think
it feels like they're probably just going to keep doing that.
And I forgot about the whole like Starfield 3 days early thing. That's a good play. Make it like $40 for 3 days early. A bunch of people will jump in there. Like if you have Game Pass, you
That
also pay an
sold like
additional 40.
hotcakes.
Oh, I
That
bought that
sold
bitch.
like, yep, that it was like one of their best selling things they've ever done.
Yeah.
It
I
was
wasn't
crazy.
I wasn't gonna miss that. I won't I'll do it again for Avowed. I'll do it again for I'm surprised Hellblade didn't get that.
Yeah, I mean, it is such a ridiculously short experience. Maybe they
Right.
thought not as many people would buy
Well, Loon, I'll tell you another game I'm probably gonna buy early. Assassin's Creed Shadows.
it. Hell
Ubisoft,
yeah.
the most egregious pricers in the biz. They're really not. They're just like every other big AAA publisher, but they take all of the flack. That way, Atlas can get away free. Atlas gets to escape as Ubisoft takes the blowback.
Dude, even like the Yakuza devs, for Christ's
Right.
sake, fucking pulled that shit earlier this year and like, because I didn't give them a hard time because I don't give Ubisoft a hard time. It's just the thing I've never understood is no one's preventing, just buy the standard game if you have that like inner morality code that you want to live by, and then
Absolutely.
just leave it there at that. Like you don't need to. If they want to pay that, they want to pay. Clearly, there's a big enough audience and people that will pay it because they keep doing it. It's
Yeah.
as simple as that.
Well, that's the thing, Loon. It's like I'm joking about me. I'm not gonna fucking buy a premium edition of Assassin's Creed Shadows, but not gonna lie, Outlaws. You might get me on that one. You might get me on that one. I'm
I
really
mean, I'll
damn.
throw myself under, but I'm probably gonna do it for both because I'm a fucking massive Assassin's Creed fan, and I'm pretty damn hyped for Outlaws.
Is there a company out there, Loon, that consistently makes games as good as Ubisoft that gets as much shit as Ubisoft? I'm not saying Ubisoft makes great games, but they're all consistently good.
I don't think there is realistically
I don't either. And I mean, they deserve some
because
flack, but not as
oh
much as
yeah,
they
well
get.
every publisher of that magnitude deserves some level of flack. But no, because the output is insane as well. Like
Triple A
what?
output too.
Yeah, I know that they're not always the most groundbreaking things, but you're talking where everybody else is stalling to meet like the output of what we used to get on 360. Dude, Ubisoft's just they've not changed. Obviously, the Skull and Bones and Beyond Good and Evil 2, both just unfortunate dragging the hills through the dirt kind of thing. Obviously, Skull and Bones finally did come out, and Beyond Good and Evil 2, I don't think ever existed in the first place. It was all a myth. Um, but somebody made like a really good point on Twitter of like PlayStation titles and stuff like that, like Naughty Dog platform from like PS1, PS2, they've made less and less titles as each thing has gone on to the point where what we haven't actually received anything from them on the PS5 only, right? We've only received upgrades.
Totally. Well, that's the thing though. Sometimes I do wish Ubisoft took a little bit longer because like I not I love that they have a consistent output, and I do think someone like Naughty Dog, it's ridiculous that we're probably going to go through this entire generation without getting one of their games. But that's more management at Sony just butchering the future of that studio. But when I look at Naughty Dog, they had consistent improvement to the point
Mm,
where their games got to like such a high quality bar where you get okay with waiting because you know you're going to get something that good. I really am waiting because Ubisoft has that in them. Like massive, that studio has that in them. The is it Quebec, Montreal, the makers of Odyssey? That studio, they have that in them. And I'm just because I think Assassin's Creed Shadows, I think that's coming from the Odyssey studio.
yep.
So, anyways, you saw the trailer?
Do you know what? I didn't, and I'm purposefully not. I'm
Okay.
choosing not to. I don't want any information. Really, like the only thing I saw about it was the controversy of the color of the skin of one of the characters. It's
I,
just like, fucking Christ, guys. What is really? Really?
I'm I'm gonna get to the point where I commit suicide live on air. If if this shit does not, dude, the controversy. It, you know what? I'll just go ahead. I this is so egregious to me that we are getting to the point where like I think it's very much facilitated by content creators who
Mm,
have no idea how to discuss video games, but they stay in the video game discussion sphere. But all they do is they gleam on to controversy because that's easy to talk about. It's not, you don't have to have any knowledge of studios, developers, publishers, game mechanics, design
credibility,
philosophy.
anything. Yeah,
But it's like
nothing.
if I was to put out a thing today where it's like, covering my mouth, pointing to a character on a screen and saying Ubisoft bad, cultural appropriation, cancel. Like if I put all those big words on my damn thumbnail, then immediately I get, a couple thousand clicks. And it's like it it's so annoying to me that it's the same people over and over and over again who drive these controversies. And you'll go to their channel or their Twitter, and it's all they do. Like they don't talk about games. They only talk about the controversy surrounding games.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate because there's a way of critiquing stuff,
Yes.
but then there's doing what a lot of these people are doing, and it's just preying on people loving to just revel in negativity and a cesspit of just shit. But the thing that baffles me the most is why I just like dusted my hands with it and I don't want any information. So I was like, okay, what's the big deal? Like, okay, the character's black. I was like, there's a reason. There must be at least a reason. Like Ubisoft's chosen this, and it's a historical figure that was actually in the time period,
If
based on someone who's real. So these people that are saying that it's you're shoehorning in something to appeal to and this, that, and that, the person existed for Christ's sake. Like they clearly thought, and it's a pretty big character in like Japanese history as well.
listen, don't get me wrong. I'm not like a woke individual. The word that fucking I even hate even using the word. But like I like utterly offensive comedy. I like the I like the good old 90s comedy movies and shit like that a lot of people wouldn't be allowed to make today. I think that's like the golden era of comedy. But it's getting to a point where it's so ridiculous that like it it feels like shit just kind of teeter totters on this pendulum of outrage culture where I remember, you know, mid 2010s, people getting canceled over shit that they did as high schoolers. Like literally, I
Mm,
remember a kid losing a scholarship to a college over something that they did in high school. But nothing like they didn't hurt anybody, they didn't kill anybody, they didn't do anything
no,
crazy.
tons of people have lost jobs from people digging up tweets people made in like 2008. It's
Right.
just like Jesus Christ.
And that was like the extreme, most extreme left in America, the most extreme left. And now this is the most extreme right, kind of doing the exact same thing that they hated that the left did. Where it's like I was scrolling through Twitter and I saw a lady who worked on the game just getting dragged. Like they put her picture up and we're like commenting about her appearance. We don't need people like this working on the game, like trying to out her and get her fired. I would assume that was the purpose behind
It's
this.
lunacy. It's absolute
It's
lunacy. It annoys me because it's not like Ubisoft are very, very careful with with the history stuff that they do. They're mostly respectful for it. Like 90% of it is very, very set in the realms of reality, and then they sprinkle their little sci-fi anima stuff on top and stuff. So, like I said, this is a character that existed. This isn't something that they've just dreamt up and have shoehorned in. And it's not like they went overboard and was like, okay, well, it's a non-binary LG, and they're just trying to get as many
Yeah,
checklists as possible. That I would be like, okay, that's a little like okay, that's
right.
that's a bit weird, but
You can
they
tell
haven't
someone's
done that.
intention.
Yeah,
You can tell when it's like, okay, you are truly like you're out here going for every fucking good boy pat on the back that you can possibly get. And you
yeah.
have no actual passion of trying to create this into something meaningful.
But they've looked at the history of where they wanted to set the time period, and they've gone, okay, it's a dual character system that we've got. So we'll have a Japanese female instead of going down a Japanese male route, which people would have been happy and fine with.
Sure.
They were like, there's this really cool and interesting character in history that was fucking really important and has a really cool story to tell. So let's just pull that. And it's just yeah, just baffling.
Well, and it's the thing too, Loon, where it's like there's things to talk about with this trailer where we can really throw some shit at Ubisoft. It has nothing to do with the dude being black, though. It's the fact that it's, again, just a CGI trailer that will not be emblematic or reflective whatsoever of the final product. The same shit happened with Valhalla. I'll make sure to grab
Same
a
shit
B-roll.
happened with Watch Dogs. They've been doing it since then.
Right, right. That's here. This is what we should be talking about. Is the fact that go back and look at that Valhalla trailer from 2020, the reveal trailer, and try to find that shit in the game. You know what I mean? Try to find those cinematics that look like that in the game. Good luck. Ubisoft has some of the worst AAA character models in video games. They just do. Their character models look abysmal more often than not.
It's really crazy because their environments look pretty clean,
They look
really, really
great.
crisp and stuff. And then the characters just like they really don't spend any time on them, which is really unfortunate.
And it's like, why can't we talk about that? Okay, I get it. Because there's no race outrage. There's no race baiting. There's no like you're
Yeah.
not, you know what I mean? So it's like, but that's the real thing to me where it's like, dude, can we and they will show gameplay and all that, but can we just get my thing would be can we get some cutscenes in the game that look like that? That'd be sick because we can expect that out of other AAA publishers. Horizon's cutscenes look like that. The Last of Us cutscenes look like that. Fucking Cyberpunk has some cutscenes that are on that level. You know what I mean?
I'm sorry to keep banging the hammer as well because it just popped into my head. Nobody was outraged when the first Neo game
Right.
had
White
the
dude.
English guy.
Right.
And might
Totally.
I add as well, the person that that was meant to be, they changed the nationality of that person. So if William Adams was British, not I think Irish or Scottish, whatever it was that the Neo guy was.
I
But
didn't know
they
that.
chose they chose to do that because he was more of a charismatic character if you did it in that accent and stuff. So this is what I mean. Like they could have done even worse. But nobody made a big stink out of that. They're just like, yeah, makes sense. It's just crazy.
It's
It's just
so
crazy.
silly, dude.
But yeah, we'll
Here's the thing.
move off of that.
Here's the thing, and I won't go into too many of the details revealed about the game since I'm assuming you don't really want to be spoiled much at all.
Um, well, but there's not really all that much out there. It's just more of
No.
a fact of me just wanting. I want to see the environments myself with my own eyes and stuff like that and stuff like
Oh,
that.
okay. So visuals. Okay, cool,
Yeah.
cool, cool. Um, Yeah, let's actually dive into the game a little bit because I do think there are a bunch of interesting things here worth detailing. And as always, you guys know I love shouting out my Twitter users who are fucking great at getting to the details and pointing out the shit that actually matters. So this is coming from Shinobi602 over on Twitter. And he points out a bunch of the cool Assassin's Creed Shadows details. Obviously, links will be in the description for where I found all of this information. Um, so Assassin's Creed Shadows is only coming to current gen systems, which I love to see. We're finally making a push forward beyond the eighth generation of consoles. It's running on an updated Anvil engine. Obviously, it takes place in feudal Japan, the year 1579. Try to find large open world as big as Assassin's Creed Origins. Loon, how do you feel about the world size
Perfect.
being similar?
Perfect.
Perfect.
Because that's something I talked about as well on the collection video when I was going through a lot of Assassin's Creed games. Is that I think I enjoyed Odyssey the most, like across the board.
For sure, me
Although
too.
Odyssey was bigger technically than Origins, it didn't feel that way because of the way that they did the breaking up of islands and ocean and stuff like that. A lot of the map size was ocean based. Origins was definitely on the bigger side. You know, it was a pretty big map, but it felt a lot more digestible than fucking Valhalla. My God. As long as they don't ever make us a map of that size ever again, I'll be happy.
Yeah. Booting up Valhalla, I was so overwhelmed. And I just, come off Odyssey. I was like, man, what the fuck, dude? This feels so much bigger. I did Valhalla lean into decision making at all, or was that just Odyssey?
Fifth, very lightly. There were certain like main quests where you could remember one in particular, you had the choice over who dies and stuff like that.
I hope they lean into that a lot more with this game. I loved that in Odyssey. I remember beating the shit out of my dad. You remember that in Odyssey where you could
Yeah.
just
Oh, that was great.
So you can play as two protagonists. Yusaki? Is that right? Yusaki? The
Yusuke?
fellow? Yusuke and
I
Naoi.
believe.
I'm probably butchering the shit out of this, but you get to play as two
Yeah.
protagonists, the dude and the chick. There are set personal quests where you play as one or the other, but you can freely switch between both in the open world and during other objectives. Oh, that's sick as shit, dude. I'm actually
Mm.
kind of going through this for the first time right now. Apologies for the apologies for that, my people. But
Wow. There you go. The reaction. Just get that clipped, and that's the thumbnail.
but that's sick, kind of Grand Theft Auto vibes,
Mm.
Spider-Man 2 vibes, swapping on the fly.
Yeah, definitely. What do you call it? The Syndicate had that, where you was able to switch between the two characters and stuff, and it felt kind of weird that it only locked you into one or the other.
Oh,
For Odyssey, you could only be either Cassandra or Alexios,
okay, I didn't know that
and
about
then
Syndicate.
yeah, you had to go back and forth in Syndicate. You didn't either play as one or the other. Like they had their own separate missions where you had to play as Jacob or you had to play as Evie and stuff. And then when you was out in the open world, you could choose who you wanted to be
Nice. Yeah, see, I
for
was
that.
never a big Assassin's Creed guy. I really got into it just for Odyssey because of the role playing, the decision making and shit. I'm such a sucker for that. Let's see.
I mean,
Um,
the thing that stood out most for me, if you don't mind me
yeah,
taking the wheel quickly, is dude, the seasons. Did you see that?
I
So
don't
it
think
changes
so.
from winter to summer. So in summer, when they're pursuing you, they will actually cut down grass. So they have their behavior changes from the season. So they will do cutting down grass when they're trying to find you if you like alert somebody. But
Oh,
in the winter, the grass will be dead. So you won't be able to use that as a hiding spot, and they'll be huddling in fires and stuff like that, and the shadows will be a lot more dense and stuff like that.
dude, I'm gonna read this verbatim real quick. This is
Is this the
so
pond thing?
Yeah, I'm just
Yeah.
going to read through a bunch of this shit here. The game progresses through the four different seasons: spring, summer, fall, and winter. Each season brings with it environmental and gameplay changes. For example, you can crawl prone underwater in a pond during the summer, whereas that pond will be frozen over in the winter. Dude, that is fucking sick. More examples. Grass grows tall in the spring, perfect for hiding, while it dies off in the fall, removing those hiding spots. Hanging icicles on buildings can snap and fall off, revealing your locations during winter. This sounds so nasty. You can hide in the shadows, escape enemies, and take out light sources to evade detection, a la Splinter Cell. Create customizable hideout where you can grow and train your own Shinobi League, craft new gear, interact with other characters, and choose your base's layout. I'm going to be playing the fucking Sims in there. There are huge castles that act as significant landmarks throughout the open world that act as dungeons and their own big levels. Let's see. Wanted to be a little bit more open with how you complete objectives, can tackle assassination targets in any order. There are no more synchronization points that reveal all the points of interest in the map. Instead, they act as high vantage points that let you look and discover them yourself. Huh.
Mm.
Okay.
I don't mind the synchronization points. It's been there since the very first game, so that's a little bit of a negative for me.
Yeah, litter that map with icons for me. I
Um,
love it.
Another thing I remember seeing, they've removed like the eagle as well. You know how you had the eagle in Odyssey and stuff where you could up on the D-pad and then that's
Yeah.
no longer a thing, supposedly.
This is interesting. Enemies can now be knocked out if players want a more pacifist playthrough. So you ain't got to kill motherfuckers. Oh, players can now go prone to sneak around.
Yeah, you can crawl.
Oh, yeah, I read that a second ago. I'm fucking retarded. Uh, let's see. Uh, the team pushed on more destructibility and sliceable objects with damage realistically replicated from sword slices, arrow puncture marks, etc. I love some physics-based environments that I can topple down onto enemies. I hope that that's sort of what they're talking about a little bit there. Um, so they talk about the characters. It seems like Naoe is more, agile, like Shinobi, more stealth focused, and we
Yusuke is samurai.
there you go. I was needing that pronunciation. Yusuke.
Think so. I think that's how it's said.
Okay. But yeah, so you got a stealth character, you got a big bulky sort of go in there, take down shit, doesn't have to really avoid and doesn't really have to hide in the shadows. I definitely will probably be leaning more towards that play style when I get the chance, but cool that you have both options.
Yeah, like it makes me so sad that they get such shit reception and bad press and publicity and stuff. Because it sounds great, and I know that it's so many times now it has been for the most part smoke and mirrors when they say stuff and then it kind of falls a little bit flat. But, that guy can dream.
Absolutely. I'm really excited for this. I guess I'll quickly just mention Ubisoft canceled Division Heartland. So it does seem like Massive is really, I believe the direct quote that I'll pull up here um from Ubisoft was that Ubisoft has canceled its upcoming free-to-play shooter Tom Clancy's The Division Heartland amid larger plans to focus resources on bigger opportunities. So it does seem that Massive is like really, really scaling up to a different level, working on Outlaws and shit like that, which I know the Division was huge, but I wonder what bigger opportunities possibly means.
What what person on that Skull and Bones team had dirt on like Yves Gilmore, whatever his name is? Like, how the fuck did that make it to the light of day? But you cancel these other things like that because that was fairly deep in development. Like, that wasn't like an early thing. Like, they were probably about 60 to 70% done with Heartland,
Oh, wow.
and you're
Well,
telling me you just can it? Like, that's crazy.
wasn't Skull and Bones the one where they took the loan from the government to make it and they had to get it out, or it would be like some sort of illegal act?
Do you know what? That probably is why they couldn't pull that. Yeah, that you know what? That sounds like a Ubisoft fucking play. Good job, guys. You played yourself.
They're taking loans from the government. They got a PPP loan. Um, but yeah, Shadow. That's the thing, man. Let's start criticizing Ubisoft for these damn CGI reveal trailers, and let's stop talking about dumb shit. Because I want to know more about the game. I assume we'll see it at SGF, a real gameplay showcase, and get some more gameplay details as we go on. My hype level isn't through the roof for this, but especially as in that breakdown, there was really no mention of role playing elements. But
It's
yeah,
80% for me at the moment. Like, I'm pretty hot on it.
80% likelihood that you're going to pick it up, or
No, like 80% like of amount of hype.
dude, it's funny that you even say that. I had an idea years and years and years ago for like an ongoing series called Hype Tracker, where like as we get updates to games, like, okay, say for this trailer, for me, it would be maybe like a 6.57 out of 10. And then the next one, I would have to carry that number over and then see where if it goes up or down. But I was like, man, that's gonna take a lot of fucking time. But I still do love that idea in some form or fashion. Maybe we can do it just with like this game,
Mm,
because like right now I'm at like a 6.57, and then we'll see the next trailer and we'll both kind of compare of where our hype level goes up or down.
yeah, solid 8 for me.
Nice. Loon, I think. Oh no, we got one other pretty big one. Herman Holst, the OG from Gorilla, co-founder of the studio that brought you Killzone and then transitioned beautifully into Horizon Zero Dawn, has been named one of the CEOs for PlayStation, and he is joined by Hideki Nishino, and they're both kind of it took two men to fill the one great Jim Ryan's role, but both are PlayStation veterans, having been part of the company for the best part of 2 decades. Although they're not the first CEOs, although they are the first CEOs who were not part of the PS1 era. This is coming from Christopher Dring over at gamesindustry.biz. Let's see. Holst is CEO of the studio's business group, covering all of Sony's first party development. Meanwhile, Nishino-san will lead the platform business group, which covers hardware services like PSN and third-party partnerships, including indies. Sony says the structure is to deliver sustainable growth. It speaks to the growing importance and size of the PlayStation business. Former CEO Jim Ryan spoke about making the studio's business as big as the platform business, and this would support that, but costs need to be managed. Like I said, link will be in the description for full article, and then for Christopher Dring's Twitter and all that stuff. I hate, pulling this shit out and not giving credit to the people where I'm actually pulling it from. So yeah, Herman Hulse is a fucking vet, and I do like seeing someone of this caliber who has like hands-on experience in the development space leading up to first party studios and kind of being able to navigate where they go, because we know that Jim Ryan definitely was not that. And we saw what I consider, and I don't think people even understand the ramifications just yet until the next few years go by. And we're going to be, I mean, look at 2024. It's bleak as fuck, but nobody's talking about it because of the second and third party partnerships that Sony is putting together for PlayStation exclusives. But first party is abysmal this year. And people talk about mismanagement on the Xbox end ad nauseum. It's way worse. But let me be clear right now. Uh, Previously, of course not. But after that, I think Jim Ryan came into leadership in like 2020 or something. His push, I think it's going to lead, and we don't even, we're just now beginning to see the fruits of that labor, where it
Yeah, because
is.
them projects that were in development before his big push came out during that, and now you're seeing his vision and his ideology and what the impact of that actually is. And like you said, it's been nothing this year other than third parties and stuff and Helldivers and stuff. They've not done anything.
And I mean, you're not even speaking in hyperbole. That is a literal fact. There is not one single first party game that has come out this year, and I don't think there will be a single player first party game that comes out this year, and maybe not next year. I don't think people, because look at this, Loon. I mean, really think about it. Astrobot, that might be it. Because if it's not Astrobot, let's go through the studios. Is Ghost of Tsushima 2 ready for 2025? After its first reveal, if let's say it reveals at the PlayStation Showcase this month or early next month, is it going to be ready for 2025?
Hmm. So when did Ghost of Tsushima come out?
2020.
So it's a fairly chunky amount of time. Maybe because I really wish, because this is the thing with there being such inconsistency in the industry. You have like Ubisoft just showing, like we obviously knew they had Assassin's Creed games in the work, but they're just showing the reveal now, and then it's coming out in what, a few
I think they said
months, like
November. Yeah, I didn't even shout
six,
that out.
6 months.
Yeah.
Like, so that's a crazy turnover window. Um, so it's definitely possible, but I don't know how they handle. Like, I don't pay all that too much attention to how they handle their announcements and then when they release after that. It's kind of just, oh, if they're there and then I'll play them. So it is possible. I think it would be catastrophic if they went through this entire year and didn't drop a single thing, and then went through all of next year and didn't drop a. I don't think that's a possibility. I think they will push something out of the door under bake rather than go 2 years without a big first party title.
Well, let me throw this out to you. Is it going to be Spider-Man DLC and then next year Venom? Is Insomniac going to be the only team that makes games? Is that? I mean, really, Ratchet and Clank, Miles, Spider-Man 2, all this generation. Like it's fucking crazy, man. And then Wolverine's going to be 2026. So it's like, yay, at least we can play Marvel games over here.
Yeah, it is crazy.
Because I don't mean to keep on going here, but it's like Naughty Dog just got their big game canceled. So
Yeah, the factions, right?
yeah, Factions the sequel or Factions whatever they were going to end up calling it. So they're probably not ready unless Neil Druckmann took a team to work on a new IP, which is that's people believe that. Um, Ragnarok just came out in 2022. Supposedly there's another team at Santa Monica that was working on something else. Maybe. But I mean, we can really theorize here that every team has either put something out recently enough to where we still have a couple years left, or we're forced into a live service grind and are still struggling from that. Like Sony Bend, I'm not confident that they're going to put that game out, their live service game. I'm not confident that a lot Sony London, they just got the axe, got killed. Media Molecule, like they were supporting Dreams, a game that I get it. It's impressive on an artistic level. A game that probably should have stopped getting support a couple years after it came out. If we're being honest, like it never moved the needle at all. It was interesting, but
Or
it never moved the
never
needle.
or never been made to begin with. Like if
No,
you want to be
no,
extremely ruthless with if you're trying to make a success and make everything like sell units and be profitable, you can't you're gonna see, especially from Sony and Microsoft moving forward, it's probably done. That it's dusted. These type of titles. I don't
totally.
think they're gonna be dipping into, and I think it, it sounds horrible to say, but like welcome to Xbox. Like this is they have been struggling with this way of adapting with the modern age of like making video, and Sony's finally in that boat with them now. And they're
Well,
like, holy shit, this is crazy. Like what? And everybody's just scrambling ships. They don't. It's cluelessness
well, yeah,
all around.
and it's not even the thing of adapting to making good modern games in this day and age. I mean, that's an element of it, especially the profit margins, but like it's bad leadership. You know, in Xbox under the Don Matrick era, it was pretty fucking abysmal. And then that ripple effect carried through until
It
now we're
takes
starting to see the fruits of
yeah,
the labor of the Phil Spencer era.
it takes so long to undo the damage and get like people as gamers live in the moment, the right now. So that's all we have. A lot of people don't see what happened, like you said with the Don Matrick era, and then you're finally seeing progress being made. And even then, it's very shaky progress.
Right. So I mean,
So it's going to be a downhill slide for Sony for the next few years.
right. And you're talking about Herman Hulst just getting control of these studios in 2024. So we're looking at like 2027,
Yeah, he's not gonna
2028.
he's not gonna click his fingers and things are just gonna get fixed.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that.
So I got all of their first party studios pulled up right here. Team Asobi makes Astrobot. Okay, that could maybe come out. Ben Studio, maybe that live service game comes up. But once again, what I said was I don't know if there will be a single player game
Yeah,
that is released 2024 or 2025. Blue Point, okay, maybe. Um, Gorilla, no chance. Horizon's way too fucking big. Uh, Haven, they're making we know they're making fair games. Housemark could maybe squeeze in there at 2025 if they're still making something a little bit smaller. I don't think Naughty Dog has a chance. I don't think Media Molecule has a chance. You know, you go on down. Sony Santa Monica, they don't have a chance. Sucker Punch, maybe, but like you go through their studios, and it's mostly all teams that are working on either live service games or studios that have just put out a game. So it's like I'm not saying I guarantee that Sony won't have a single first party single player release in 2025. That would be a stupid thing for me to, but I'm saying
yeah.
like,
Just don't be surprised if it is the case.
yeah, and that's an awful state to be in. In my opinion, that's real mismanagement that people should be talking about. And I do think Herman Hulst, especially someone that could see founding a company that was making a first person shooter and being able to transition that team into a game like Horizon, that is so impressive. So I like the hire there, but it's going to take some time.
Yeah, it gives them a lot of flexibility as well. because the way that I kind of read into it, and maybe it's completely wrong, but Sony's in like an identity crisis right now. They switched the location of their headquarters. They're heavily Americanizing a lot of their products and stuff. They kind of need that foothold still in Japan. So it feels like having a Japanese CEO half and an American CEO half, it gives them a lot more maneuverability. Because if they just went with Herman Holst, as good as he is, he's got no idea how the Japanese market is run.
Right.
So I think it's an incredibly bold move to do what they've done, but I think it's incredibly intelligent.
Yeah. Um, let's see.
And
I
also,
think
who was the placeholder guy that was
Hiroki Totoki?
he's he's still like heavily in charge. He's not like gone. He's like the stamp guy now, I believe. Like they have to
Yeah.
run everything through him. He's like,
Yep.
I'm the guy who signs the paycheck.
Right.
So that's also good as well that they've not just uncuffed them both because that would be catastrophic.
Totally. Um, I guess kind of tying directly into PlayStation Land, the PS2 emulator is on the way for PS5, seemingly. I saw this on Mystic Ryan's Twitter, and pretty much essentially what it is Jamatsu reported that Star Wars Clone Wars is seemingly the first PS2 game that will be coming to the PS Plus Classics catalog. And like it appears on the PS Store, but it's currently not purchasable. You can see like the little icon. And then on the back end, the description states that it will have like the save states and the rewind functionality, which line up with the other PS Plus premium, classic games and how you can play those with the modern accessible upgrades that have been made. And implicit conversions is the emulation service that is being used. And they've been doing the PS1 and PSP games, but it looks like they finally have the PS2 games up and running. So that is very, very good news. Not that I don't think we've really had an excellent collection of games being ported from PS1 and PSP, but a lot of that, to be fair to Sony, is kind of outside of their control because you would have to go in and talk to Capcom and Square Enix and a lot of these
So many
companies.
licenses, yeah, to balance.
Yeah.
And something to throw a little positivity bone. Dude, Disney really are good at like it's not because they like us. It's because they know there's money involved. But Disney IPs always like almost first on the block for being backwards compat and just surviving time, it seems.
Well,
It's
even
crazy.
weird shit, Loon, like the Toy Story games and stuff. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, okay, I
Because they're like,
guess.
yeah, it's no skin off our back. I
Right.
think that it's the power of that's I guess the bonus of monopolizing everything. They own everything that is tied to that game. They own the soundtracks, they own the voice actors' rights, they own everything is under the Disney umbrella. They've not had to outsource anything and pull anything in really.
Well, and it's probably
So
too like they got, you hear all the time about, well, it'd be so hard to go and find that source code, yada yada yada. How are we going to be able to port this to PlayStation 5? We made that game in 1993. We don't even know where the source code is for the
it's in the Walt Vault, baby.
exactly. They got all that shit, man, archived for fucking decades.
Frozen with him. They just plonk it in on a tube. It just piles up with him. It's a massive sarcophagus, and they go boom.
That is fucking funny, man. But yeah, that's
Old
the
Walt
news.
Vault.
That is the news for today, Loon. And like I said, I really, in terms of games played, I don't even really have anything to say. I've been playing Gears 3. Listen, man,
And it was
it's
the greatest experience ever.
it's Gears of War. I really don't know what you want me to tell you. It's Gears of War, just like the first two were Gears of War. This one is it's got a better story, I would say, than it's got a really good story. Second one had a really good story as well. And I think I'm at the point now where I'm gearsed out. I'm like, okay, I I'm kind of hoping that Gears 6 doesn't come until 2026. That way I can play Gears 4 in 2020, at the end of 2024, Gears 5 2025, and then have a year to wait on Gears 6. But yeah, I'm pretty much gearsed out. I yeah, Loon, I to be completely honest with you, my guy, I have not a single fucking clue of what else I can say about Gears of War. Fun games, some cool boss fights.
Um, it had a good payoff for a character. I wouldn't say a very good, impactful like
Yeah,
story moment. If you know
emotional,
what I'm talking about.
of
Yeah,
course. Yeah.
the song hitting and yeah, really, really powerful moment. But
And
it's just years, guys.
it's Gears, and these things, boy, they don't change much, do they? Like they do what they do and they continue to do it. Graphically, this thing has some juggernaut moments. I will give it credit. Like that final boss fight is pretty epic in scale when you're taking yourself back to that 360 era. It's like, oh shit, this motherfucker's climbing up towers and it's there was some
No,
cool shit.
the oh, was it the fourth game? I think the fourth game they really showed like the powerhouse of stuff of what they could achieve. So I think it had like a massive like hurricane section and stuff, and it was absolutely awe-inspiring.
Fuck yes, dude, you actually kind of got me hyped now because that would be the next gen Gears game, right? That would have been on Xbox
Yeah,
One. Oh,
yeah.
cool. Cool. So there's something to look forward to, at least on a fidelity and visual level.
The gameplay still Gears, so they still handle like like in walking refrigerators
Hey, let
and
me
stuff
ask
like
you.
that.
So you play as the chick in Gears 5, right? Don't spoil how we get there, but
Yeah, I can't remember her name, but yeah, whatever her
so
name is.
so does she control like one of those fucking tanks too?
Yeah, because she's a big bulky. She's a mini fridge.
God,
Yeah,
dog.
they all handle like that. They're all just fucking bulked,
Oh boy, oh
massive
boy. You
meat
know,
sacks.
I will say I think Gears 3 was a pretty big downgrade. Like there's it's visually impressive as shit. I think it's a downgrade in terms of boss fights and stuff. Like there was nothing nearly as memorable to me in Gears 3 as like when I'm lobbing the damn grenades in that one thing's mouth, the lake lizard, or when I'm going through and cutting the arteries from that
Yeah,
big, like when I'm going inside his intestines and shit like that. There were way cooler boss fights in Gears 2, I would say, than Gears 3. But those are, I think Gears 2 and 3 are kind of tied for like my favorite. Gears 3, way better story, or both really good stories. Gears 3, impressive on a visual level, more so than Gears 2. Gears 2, better boss fights, but I think they're both much better than one, in my opinion, so far.
yeah. Yeah, I think it was the shift that now we can look back on it. You could see like Gears 1 was very, very single player focused. Gears 2 was probably an 80-20 split, single player and then multiplayer. And then
Oh,
they
okay.
saw just how much like the horde mode in Gears 3 was where it was at, more so than the campaign. And the multiplayer like took off and stuff like that, much, much bigger. So it was much more like I'd probably even say like a 50-50 split. Like the campaign was like, yeah, it's there, but it's not the reason that you're picking up Gears 3 for at that
Okay.
point in its life cycle for
That
the
makes
console.
sense. That definitely does make sense. And even like kind of, how you would get you when you aim in, you would kind of go into first person mode in Gears 3. That does kind of lend itself better to a multiplayer environment, just that core mechanic. So I mean, there were you also had like the strategic elements when playing single player where you can put the dot on the enemy's heads and they would target that enemy. There were some cool additions to Gears 3. I shouldn't totally shit on it. But yeah, okay game. I would say solid like 8 out of 10 like all the others.
That's good. That's good. Um, I myself haven't really been as productive as usual either. I finished up Call of Duty 2. Um, the thing I'll say about it is for the time that that come out, that must have been like completely mind blowing the stuff that they did for that. Just I know it looks like shit now. Don't get me wrong. Like, of course, it's not going to look as graphically as cool as the newest, but just the little details of the body animations and like how they don't just go limp and fall to the ground like you'd have some people where they're still falling down and they're still gunning people down and stuff like that, or a grenade lands at your feet and Private Pete comes sprinting over and he's like, I got this, and he picks the grenade up and it explodes in his hand and blows his head off and stuff. And it's just like, for this being like an early 360 game, this is pretty impressive as to what they did. So yeah, again, I can't really say much. It's just the classic World War II story that's been retraced and retrodden on time and time again.
But
Um,
I
I
think
put about. Did you want to touch anything on
no, I
COD?
was just saying, I think you sometimes you just get into these things like because I jumped into Technomancer, I jumped into Mars Warlogs, I jumped into American Fugitive. I've been dabbling a lot, but like I'll play, 30 minutes of something, 45 minutes of something, an hour or something, and I'm just like, I don't really, I just don't, I
You're in
don't
a
have it.
slump at the moment.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
rarely get in them, but I kind of am right now. I also had two damn dentist appointments this week. Work kicked up to like a fucking crazy degree this week. So it's just like I had a fucking cavity filled for the first time in my 30 years on this planet this week.
What an experience.
Jeepers creepers, man. I'm 30 years old getting fucking cavities. What the hell am I doing with my life? But yeah, so I just not a big gaming week at all.
Just two things I'll touch on. I dabbled. I had the idea that I would finish this, but the more I played it, I've I mean I will end up finishing it, but the enthusiasm has waned heavily, and that's Daymare 1998. Did you go through and play this and finish this at any point?
Yeah. Yeah, I played through both of them, 94 and 98.
Oh my God, the writing in this game is fucking comical. Oh my God. I I just couldn't take it seriously. It I feel bad because obviously somebody's had to sit in the booth and record that, and I don't know if it's like bad translation or just delivery and just or not enthusiastic at doing anything, but it really kind of pulled me out, and I was like, I can't take this game seriously.
Yeah. The second one's way better with the writing and the narrative, but the first one, it's rough.
And the shooting is kind of a little bit rough, but what I'll give it credit for, like it must have been made on like an incredibly slim budget, and it is impressive as to what they accomplished. But just some random stuff in that game. You have like Dark Souls illusory walls. I don't know if you remember, like just being able to go up and there's secret walls and stuff like that. And it was just like, in this kind of it really? Okay, that's crazy. So yeah, only about 2 hours into it, and just yeah, it's a game. It's
Yeah.
a game.
94 is much better, but neither are like
It's
94 I would consider a bit of a hidden gem, but neither are incredible.
it's why I went back and played it because I actually picked up the physical for 94. I was like, that come out and it's on sale. Um, I guess I'll go back and do 98 before this. And I was like, Jesus Christ, I hope 94 isn't like this. Otherwise, that's a big L
94
for
has
me.
dog shit environments. 98 has much better environments, like the little city that you get to explore in 98 and stuff. I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, 94 is actually really, really, really linear, which I love linear games, but that city in 98 was cool. I do remember being like, damn, it's impressive they were able to pull this off.
And maybe a surprise, Fallout 4. They repatched the patch. The next gen patch came out and it broke because I started a save, and then it just all the textures were completely screwed up, and it was just like if I go further in this save, I know that it's gonna corrupt or something will break, so I'll just wait and hope that they fix it. And it dropped, I think, like 4 or 5 days ago. And yeah, everything's just it's working fine. They added even more changes. You can instead of it being I don't think many games do this, and I don't know why you have a 30 FPS option, 60 FPS. They've also added a 40 FPS. So if you want a middle
Hmm.
of the ground thing, so that was cool and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm planning on 100%ing it. It's probably at least gameplay wise the my favorite Fallout game of the series. So it's like moment to moment gameplay is enjoyable, and some of the DLCs are good at least, but the main game is awesome. The main game's campaign is so bad because I played it back at launch and I decided with the Brotherhood is still I had to do like the railroad. That is like the most underbaked faction in any video game I've ever seen. Like there's more complexity and story payoff in factions of the Elix than there is of the railroad, and that's baffling to me.
Hmm.
It felt like it's a complete afterthought. So yeah, I blitzed through what I needed to do for the main campaign in about 12 hours or so, completely ignoring like any miscellaneous locations, just beelining it, and then just working through the Far Harbor DLC at the moment.
Yeah, I bought Indica.
All
Have
right,
you? Yeah,
I've seen parts of it. Have
looks
you
fucking crazy.
tried it out?
I bought it today. It just released today
Oh,
on consoles, and I bought it on Xbox. And I was like, yeah, I'm probably gonna, I'll probably play an hour of this before doing the show. And then as I saw it downloading, it was 40 gigabytes.
Jesus Christ!
It's like, yo, I mean, I'm kind of excited to see what the
Lots of
hell.
nuns, huh?
Right, dude. It gives me massive Plague Tale vibes. So I have a feeling it will click with me, but we shall see. That will be next week's big game that I check out. I think I'm really kind of I think I'm gonna really cool the Jets for the rest of the year on a lot of my gaming time. Um, because I think that, I set out a goal to hit 30 backlog games this year, play 30 backlog, finish 30 backlog games. And I don't think I'm there yet, but I think I'm somewhat close. And so I'm like, okay, cool. I'm just gonna kind of
Yeah, you did your 50,000 G goal as well, and you smashed that.
I think I'm like
Like,
3,000 away from that.
yeah,
Yeah. So, all right, cool. I'll cool the Jets a little bit. Because that's the thing. This week, actually, with all that going on, I had fucking, two dentist appointments, work picked up massively, and I made two YouTube videos. I got one that I just put out the Summer Game Fest predictions, and I also made a PlayStation predictions one that as soon as they announce when the fuck that showcase is, I'll. But that's the thing. It's like if I'm playing games, I really don't have any time to create content. You know what I mean? So it's like you kind of got to pick one or the other. So it's like, okay, cool. Maybe prioritize getting out a little bit more content on the channel for the people. And because 2024, the back end's looking pretty light. So
yeah.
it's like maybe take advantage of this a little bit. Maybe maybe put the backlog to the side for a little bit, try to watch a fucking television show or two, maybe touch
Touch
it.
on that controversy. That's what you need. Boost
You
them numbers.
right, yeah.
Shock and awe.
I'm gonna start race baiting on the channel. Have people in outrage. I'm gonna come in wearing a "Make America Great Again" hat. But yeah, man, that is thy show for this week, my good people. Next week we shall be back. I hope that next week. I'm pretty sure next week. I'm gonna go back to hope. I'm definitely not gonna say pretty sure. I'm hoping next week we'll be talking about a PlayStation showcase. I just have such a hard time believing that we're going to go another week without it getting announced. I'm not saying it'll happen before next week, obviously, but I, like, when the fuck are they going to announce this thing? It has
Yeah,
to
it
be
needs to be
soon
soon. Definitely needs to be soon.
because if you're going to not have it in June, that would make no sense. You're either going to have it the end of May or early June, you would think. So it's like you're running out of time to announce this thing, and now I'm starting to kind of get worried. Like, is this is this going to be like a little state of play? where you do a 1 day before the event you announce it? Because then that is
Mm,
all signs lead to catastrophe at that point, in my opinion.
yeah,
So we shall see. But Loon, I appreciate you for joining me here this week to talk the vidges. You good people out there, I appreciate y'all joining this week to talk the vidges. Hit us in the comments discussing your thoughts on the vidges, and we shall be back later with another topic about the vidges. Take it easy, my good people, and we shall see you soon. Goodbye.
enjoy your vidges.